Hello and welcome to today's video. We are going to learn about graphing slope-intercept forms of lines today. We're going to be presenting you with a line or a linear function in slope-intercept form, and you're going to be tasked with graphing it on an XY coordinate plane. So what is slope-intercept form? Well, it's named slope-intercept form because it gives you two things. It gives you the slope of the line and the y-intercept. The slope we've talked about already during this unit. We've talked about how to find slope from a graph and also how to calculate slope from 2 points. And now we're going to be giving you slope and asking you to use that slope to find more points on an XY plane. So the two letters that are important here for slope-intercept form are M and B. M is your slope. So the number in front of the x is going to be your slope. It could be a fraction, it could be a whole number, but represents slope regardless, okay? For example, if your equation looked like this, my slope would be 3. Now, 3 being a whole number, you may think to yourself, oh, it's not a fraction. It actually is. Remember that 3 is technically 3 over 1. Okay, so change in y over change in x should be obvious here. Change in y would be 3, change in x would be 1. Now, B, the second important letter in this equation, is the y-intercept. It is named that because that's where the line crosses the y-axis, or intercepts the y-axis. So whatever number it is, like in this case 11, on the y-axis, if you count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 11, that's where the line would cross. Okay, that's a y-intercept. So we're going to look at a couple examples here, and then we're going to go on to steps to graphing. So first example, y equals 3x plus 4. You're going to state the slope and the y-intercept of the function. So look for your m and b. Remember that the m is located in front of the x. I'm going to point an arrow right to it. So my m in this case is 3. When we graph it, we're going to write it as 3 over 1 to help us out with counting spaces. My b, my second important letter, that is 4. My y-intercept here is 4. So on the y-axis, if I count up from 4, or count up to 4, it'll cross at that point. Okay? The second equation, 6x minus 2y equals 4, that is currently not in slope-intercept form. How you know is that y isn't by itself. Like over here, y was by itself, so we can get started right away with finding slope and y-intercept. In this case, we have to solve for y first, or write y as a function of x. Then we're going to identify the slope and y-intercept. So steps to solve. I'm going to rewrite it over here so I have more room. I want to isolate the y. So my first step is going to be to subtract 6x from both sides. That cancels it out to 0 on the left side. On the right side, these are not like terms. So I don't want anybody writing down negative 2x. This is simply going to be negative 6x plus 4. Bring down the negative 2y that you haven't done anything with yet. Still solving for y. I got one more step to do. I got to get rid of that negative 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2, which means you're going to divide both of these terms by that negative 2. Those cancel out to 1, so I'm going to cross them out. Here, negative 6 over negative 2 is a 3. The x remains there. 4 over negative 2 is a negative 2 when you divide them. So looking at this equation now, my slope is what? The number in front of the x, it is a 3. My y-intercept, the b value, is the number after the x term. It's going to be a negative 2. Okay? So looking at the equation, we should be familiar with finding m and b from a slope-intercept form equation. If it's not in slope-intercept form, like in part B, we now know what to do. We solve for y, and then we continue giving slope and y-intercept afterwards. Okay? The 4 steps for graphing are going to be written below here. The first step is going to be, first, write slope and y-intercept. This may seem like an obvious step, like why should I have to do that? But it's very good to have that on the paper so you don't miscount or forget or drop a sign somewhere later on in the problem. It's good to write it down. M equals, B equals, just next to the problem so you're ready to go. 2, plot the y-intercept on the y-axis. The y-intercept is your starting point, okay? Where you start all your lines from. So that's the first step after you write down the information. That's the first point that goes on your graph. Step 3, we're going to use slope to plot the rest of the points. So because slope is change in y over change in x, I can count up, down, left, or right, depending on what the fraction is. And I can find more points to fill in the graph. The last step is really easy. You just simply connect the dots and draw the line. And then you're done. Those are your 4 steps. Make sure you have them copied down, and we're going to run through them for the next few examples together. So, first example on the back here, example A, y equals 2x plus 1. First thing you're going to do is write slope and intercept, or y-intercept for this problem, so m and b. It's currently in slope-intercept form. Y is by itself, so right away I can tell you what slope is. It's 2. Y-intercept b is 1. So I have 2 as my slope, y-intercept is 1. My next step is to plot this first point here, my y-intercept, on the y-axis. So go on the vertical axis here, the y-axis, and go to positive 1 and make a point. That's step 2. Step 3 is to use the slope to find more points on the graph. Technically speaking, that's a fraction, right? 2 over 1, not just a 2. So if it's 2 over 1, that means I'm going to go up 2 and right 1 based on the rules of slope we taught earlier in this unit. So from this y-intercept, I'm going to go up 2, right 1 to make a new point. So up 1, 2, right 1, make a new point. Now it's only one new point. What you're going to be tasked with is filling the entire graph up with as many points as you can possibly fit. So since I have more room, I'm going to keep going up 2, right 1. Up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. Now you'll notice that only this portion of the graph is filled in, and this part down here is empty. What you are allowed to do is switch both of those arrows and continue on the same slope. So the opposite of up to right 1 would be down to left 1. That would be the exact same slope, just in the opposite direction. So down to left 1 until you hit the edge of the graph. And step 4, after you have these points drawn, up to right 1 and down to left 1 in both directions, you're simply going to take your pen, connect all the dots the best you can. This is the reason why we have as many dots as possible, so our lines look as straight as possible. Okay? Those are your 4 steps. We're going to kind of skip around here so you have more to do on your own. But I'm going to do example C just below it. It's currently in slope-intercept form. 3 over 4 is my slope, and my b value is -2. So plot this point first. We did step 1 already. Step 2, plot -2 on the y-axis. So down here, y-axis, go down 2. For 3 over 4 now, step 3 is to find more points. That's going to be up 3, right 4. So from here, up 3, right 4, count them, make more points. It might be easier and faster to create a 3 by 4 rectangle and kind of quickly move with your eyes that way. Otherwise, you can still count up 3, right 4. And then the opposite of up 3, right 4 would be down 3, left 4 to go in the opposite direction. So down 3, left 4, down 3, left 4. And last step is to connect all of your points together to make a line. Okay. So that's example C. From there, we're going to move on to another example. We're going to look at example D next to it. And we'll make this the last example we do on the notes today. So 8x minus 4y equals 12. Very clearly not in slope-intercept form. As I circle y, you can tell that it's not by itself, so we have to create an equation that where y is actually by itself and solve for. So, first step, minus 8x from both sides. Remember, these are not like terms, so you have to just keep them together. Negative 8x plus 12, because they are not like terms. Bring down what you did not touch. Don't forget that you cannot forget to bring down your negative signs with the coefficients. Next step, divide by negative 4, so all the terms. So y equals negative 8 over negative 4 is a 2, and the x you bring down. 12 over negative 4 is a negative 3. So we use our division. Now we have y equals 2x minus 3. So our slope, step 1, 2, and negative 3 for slope and y-intercept respectively. Our first point in the graph is the y-intercept, so go down to negative 3. And go, slope is 2, so that's 2 over 1, which means I move up 2 and right 1 from this y-intercept. So a 2 by 1 rectangle, essentially. Do that until you hit the edge of the graph. So we hit the edge. From there, to go the opposite direction, you're going to go down to left 1. Then you finish by connecting all the points together. All right. So graphing lines, remember, you get the 4 steps. If you have to solve for y, it's kind of like your step 0. But step 1, we're going to go through and find slope and y-intercept. Step 2, graph the y-intercept, that first point. Step 3, use slope to find more points. Last step, connect all the points. I'm going to do one more example, actually. Here, we're going to go to example H on the next page. We're going to solve for y here by subtracting 5x from both sides. So y equals negative 5x minus 8. And now, it's in slope-intercept form, because y is by itself. My slope is negative 5, and my y-intercept is negative 8. Okay. So first point is negative 8, my y-intercept. I'm going to go down to negative 8. Make my first point. That's step 2 done. Step 3, use slope to find more points. Remember, that's negative 5 over 1. Change in y over change in x means that I'm going to go down 5, right 1. And I chose this example for a reason. If you attempt to go down 5, right 1, you are now off the graph. You cannot make any more points. That does not mean that we can't make this line or I have any more points on this line. That means we have to switch around the direction of the slope here to help us out. So change both of these. Up 5, left 1. That I can do from negative 8. So up 5, left 1, up 5, left 1, up 5, left 1, and then that's all I can make. I make 4 points, and that's it. So when you get to an edge of the graph and you need to make more points, or if you can't actually make the first point, you just got to switch them up and go the opposite direction. Either way you do that, it's the same slope, as long as you change both arrows. A common mistake will be kids will see down 5, right 1, and they'll put up 5, right 1. They'll only change one. You must change both arrows in order to make this line, okay? So that's it for graphing lines. Remember your 4 steps. Write your slope and y-intercept first. Plot that y-intercept first on the graph. Use your slope to plot the rest of the points. And finally, the fun step, connect all your dots and draw your line. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and follow with notifications. Have a great day.